Good afternoon and welcome. You're watching day number 2 of the Youth Drone Sports Championships Minnesota State Virtual Drone Racing Tournament. Today is Team Racing Day. Head-to-head racing in effect and big heats, 4 pilots racing at a time for team points. And this afternoon, we're starting with our lower field here on the Hydra FPV Twitch and Facebook page. These 5 teams that we have staged here getting set to compete in a round robin format where the top team will advance, joining our top 7 from qualifying for our 8 teams to work tonight on our broadcast on Fox Sports North that is coming up in just under 3.5 hours from right now. I'm Joe Scully, with me Marty Weatherall. This team racing format we did in the collegiate race. It was intense to watch, every single finish point mattering. What do we have staged here this afternoon with these teams?
Well, we have 5 teams who are all competing for one spot in the televised AAA final tonight. 5 teams come from 4 different schools. We have a couple teams from Providence Academy. We have the Providence Academy Lions, made up of Mach 6 and evasive maneuvers. And then we have Providence Academy Overdrive, made up of Anza Factor and Henry Albert 48, the youngsters on the Providence side. Then we have the Benilde St. Margaret's Red Knights of Mead, made up of Cat Eye and Checkmate. Just moving through these profile pictures. There they are, Cat Eye and Checkmate. And then from Minneapolis Washburn, we have the very traditionally named Washburn Millers, and that's Big Mac and Physics, creatively spelled physics. And lastly, we have our newest team in the YDSC, a couple of homeschooled kids who call themselves Tiny Turbines. I'm sorry, there's been some confusion, but they've gone with Tiny Turbines, and they are the 5th team going. And Joe, I think we're about to talk about this round robin format.
Yeah, and I mean, there was no confusion on the team's part. That was all on your part. They've been the Tiny Turbines since day number 1. We're excited to see them.
We got mixed signals.
So the 5 teams all competing against each other once. The format is head-to-head. First, we take the 2nd seed pilots from each team. They go head-to-head for a 1-point match win. Then the top seeds from each team, they go head-to-head for a 1-point match win. Then all 4 pilots take off And first place gets 4 points, second gets 3 points, third gets 2 points, fourth place 0 points. Total it all up, and the winning team will get a match win point. Round robin, every team matching each other. And of course, the team with the most wins in our round robin format advancing to the big show here tonight. Our first set of pilots are ready. Our first matchup to go in the round robin, the number 3 seeded Benilde St. Margaret's Knights, Red Knights in knee, versus the number 2 seed Providence Academy Lions, with Mach 6 and Evasive Maneuvers getting set for their team. Cat Eye and Checkmate for the Red Knights in knee. So your second seeds from each team ready to wage battle. The pilots are set behind the scenes. It'll be Checkmate versus Evasive Maneuvers. First ones to work. They're ready to fly head to head here on our course. We are rolling into it to get ready for TV here tonight. So your opening lap, your opening matchup is going to be pretty much your track description as we go green. Both of our pilots in green. And our team behind the scenes there flipping over. I'll tell you, it's Checkmate just ahead of Evasive Maneuvers. They're relatively equal in seating. Checkmate leading into the chicane section. Evasive Maneuvers 1 pole back in that chicane. They're still grouped together as we take Checkmate up the ascent, ladder up. Evasive Maneuvers now going into that ladder section, but going to the wrong rung of the ladder. And now lots of breathing room here for Checkmate, a 6-gate lead as Checkmate going into the duck, gray duck section over on our basketball court. Evasive Maneuvers still trying to spend a little time here on the track and learning those lines, apexing turns and where to cut some corners. Because, well, even if we pull up a second place here in this head-to-head, we still need a good finish in our big heat at the end of this first matchup. Checkmate is already at the hole in the wall section, hitting those gaps, high side, low side, and over into our 4-gate purple zigzag section. And to our checkered line, first win on the books. We'll go to Checkmate, and by moving the pawn to across that goal line, there's 3 sports altogether. Benilde St. Margaret's Red Knights in knee up by 1.
Evasive Maneuvers. Oh, sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Evasive Maneuvers did not fly yesterday. The individual tournament brackets that we ran, he was unavailable, so he didn't get the experience on the course yesterday. He's getting the hang of it now, though, and he'll be ready to come back in that big 4-up heat.
Yeah, that is on deck as we transition from the number 2 seeds from each team to the top seeds from each team. It'll be Cat Eye from the Red Knights of Knee versus Mach 6 from the Providence Academy Lions A. Hey. Set to go green here momentarily. Red Knights of Knee up by 1. Cat Eye with a 1-point advantage.
All right, let's start them.
And we're about to go green here, heat number 2. There is the countdown behind the scenes there. Got a little side-by-side action. And we are underway. Both pilots in the Stitch It Up section. Now into the chicane and laddering up. First goes up Mach 6, then Cat Eye climbing that ladder on the ascent as well. Mach 6 on the descent over to duck, gray duck. And out of the ladder we go with Cat Eye looking down from up above in the rafters. Mach 6 in the blue, about 3 gates ahead of Cat Eye. Mach 6 about midway through our apple tree section, but Mach 6 just crashed out. Now he gets back up. Cat Eye is your new leader in the red. Both of them going into the tunnel section, now over to the hole in the wall. Cat Eye going through the top hole. Now we take Mach 6 through the top hole as Cat Eye now pushing his way around to our checkered line. And the Red Knights in knee are up 2-0 going into our big heat.
Dogs and cats racing together, Joe. And the cats are looking better so far. But again, this format is great because when we put all 4 up at a time, it doesn't matter if you're down 0-2. As long as you can finish first and either second or third, the way the points shake out, you get the win. So you can come all the way back from an 0-2 deficit.
All 4 pilots are ready. We're going to go green here in just a moment, but here's how it plays out. So the Red Knights and Knee, Cat Eye and Checkmate, are up by 2 points. Now, there's a possible 7 points if you're first and second, but because they have the advantage of 2 points going into the big heat, that means they only need one of their 2 pilots to win it, or their 2 pilots to be second and third. Now, as we look to the Lions from Providence Academy, they're down by 2, which means they need one of their pilots to win this one, and the other pilot to be second or third, right? Basically, fourth is bad here in this situation, and we need a win as you're down by 2 here for the Lions. Best of luck to all 4 pilots. We're about to go green. The big heat of match number 1 in our round robin. Mach 6 and evasive maneuvers from the Lions. Cat Eye and Checkmate up by 2. The Red Knights and Knee. Let's launch them.
Well, let's see if Checkmate and maneuvers change color. They didn't, so they're both going to be green, even though they're on different teams.
All right, it's all good. Mach 6 in the blue leading the charge here for the Lions. Remember, they're down by 2, so they need a win and a second and a third. Evasive maneuvers in the number 4 spot, battling it out with Checkmate back behind the scenes. And so that first and third could happen here as we just start to warm up. Mach 6 well out in front, 5 gate advantage on the descent down in the blue. Checkmate and evasive maneuvers about 8 gates back. They're working at the ladder section. A little switch up there as it's looking pretty good here for Mach 6, but evasive maneuvers needs to find a gear. Remember, for the Red Knights and Knee, they need a second and a third. Right now, that's where Cat Eye and Checkmate are sitting, even though the win is about to go to Mach 6. There he goes across the line. Mach 6 will get the win.
Nice.
But we hand out the rest of the points here. Second in the heat. Looks like it's going to go to Cat Eye as he gets set to go across the line in the red. Next across the line, his teammate Checkmate again. Second and a third is what it's going to take. And fourth in the heat going to Providence Academy. So just like that, the Red Knights of Knee have their first match win as they go 7-4.
Nice win by Mach 6 there, though. We saw some great things from him yesterday in the individual racing. He got better over the course of the day. He was climbing through the brackets, and he showed us some more of that flying just now. Evasive maneuvers, though, finishes 4th, and as you said, Joe, you just can't finish 4th.
Yeah, just can't be last. Got to be on that gas and going fast. And your first match win awarded right there to the Red Knights and Knee. Next matchup, Tiny Turbines versus another team from Providence Academy Lions. This is Team Overdrive from the Tiny Turbines, Eclipse and Shybook Dragon versus Anza Factor and Henry Albert 48. Starting with the second seed from each team, it'll be Shybook Dragon versus Henry Albert 48. They were evenly seeded. Shybook Dragon 27th in seeding and qualifying, 1 spot ahead, Henry Albert 48. A lot of pressure on our number 2 seeds to start things off. Pilots are ready. About to go green. Tiny Turbines, Shybook Dragon versus Overdrive from Providence Academy Alliance with Henry Albert 48. Henry Albert in the blue with the hole shot, but having some issues in that hole shot tunnel, look like as did Shybook Dragon. They are 1 and 2 in that stitch it up section. Henry Albert 48 just ahead of Shybook Dragon. Now on to Terra Firma, hitting the basketball court. Nice shine and gleam on the playing surface here this afternoon. Still holding off Shybook Dragon as both of them working in the ladder up, the blue ascent. Shybook Dragon just took the lead ahead of Henry Albert. You're on board with Henry Albert. You saw the purplish Shybuck Dragon go by, then you just saw him pass Shybuck Dragon. Now Shybuck Dragon just ahead of Henry Albert. Now they trade places again. Shybuck Dragon, though, biting the top of one of those red LED gates right before Duck Duck Gray Duck. So, and Henry Albert now with a 2-gate lead. He's on his way over to the apple trees, doing the first 360-degree revolution, and Shybuck Dragon almost flying head-on into him. Still a tight battle, and even though these two pilots not showing you the speed, you are seeing the skill, and this is exciting to watch as it's blade-to-blade battling right here. They're 9 feet apart at the half-court tunnel. Henry Albert out of it, Shybuck Dragon out of it, and into our hole-in-the-wall section on the far side. You're on board with Shybuck Dragon as she is looking for her next gate, and the blue of Henry Albert. Henry Albert working his way through the 4-gate zigzag to the checkered line, and it looks like Shybuck Dragon 2 gates behind, and the win on this one going to Henry Albert 48, and the overdrive from the Province Academy Alliance up by 1 point.
That was a nail biter.
I know, might have been one of the longest races that we've seen here on the course, but
Testing
I
your
enjoy
limits as a long race caller there, Joe, but you did well.
Well, what I enjoyed about that the most is that they were right within reach of each other the whole time. They traded places about 4 times in that race, and so anyone could have won it. 1 point on the board for Providence Academy Overdrive, and now we go to heat number 2. The top seed from each school, Tiny Turbines Eclipse versus Overdrive's Anza Factor, evenly seeding again. Let's see how this one plays out. Overdrive is up by 1. Let's go green.
Letting the dogs out with this Overdrive team.
Eclipse is going to get the whole shot. Anza Factor in the number 2 spot. Now Anza Factor up in front. I love when they trade places here in that Stitch It Up section to start things off. Over to the chicane section we go with Eclipse on the left-hand side of your screen. Anza Factor on the right trying to catch up. They're separated by 1 gate, and as you can see now, Eclipse on his lid, and so Anza Factor just had the door opened as he tries to pass the downed Eclipse on the ground, but Eclipse gets back up, and both of them coming out of the red ladder descent over to Duck Duck Gray Duck. Your leader Eclipse looked like he missed one of the gates going into it. He is able to go back, and Anza Factor held the lead, but Anza Factor with some issues in the Duck Duck Goose section as well. It's Eclipse leading on the left-hand side of your screen. Now you got Anza Factor flying just underneath of Eclipse. Anza Factor now taking the lead. That was a low side pass as we go over to the hole in the walls section. Your leader, you're watching the first person view feed on the right hand side. That is Anza Factor, but you see a splash of purple of Eclipse popping in front every couple of seconds. But the win in this one gonna go to Anza Factor. And so same situation as what we saw in our previous heat going into the big heat, our previous match. The Overdrive in the driver's seat with an advantage of 2 points. They'll need either just a win to get the match win or second and third, and they will be all right. Just can't be fourth. Of course, Tiny Turbines down by 2 points. They will need a win, with the other pilot being second or third. But once again, similar situations with both teams, but a race not to be last. Last is definitely gonna hurt unless your team wins and your Overdrive. It's very tough. A lot of pressure on our 4 pilots. They're ready to fly.
Based on how close these heats were, I think though anything can happen. So we might see these historic comebacks.
Let's go green. The big heat. Overdrive up by 2. Tiny Turbines gonna try and push to the checkered line, and the W for the match win could happen here in the big heat. And it's Eclipse in the driver's seat, then Anza Factor in the number 2 spot. So your top 2 seats from each team are sitting 1 and 2. Watching overhead looking for the purple of Eclipse, leading the charge. Going to go up the blue ladder. Nice wide turn. Henry Albert right below and making a wide turn as well. Now you got the teammates. Eclipse and Shybook Dragon are sitting first and second. If they hold it, that would give them the match win right now. They need a first and a second or a first and a third. Eclipse well out in front, while their teammates, Shybook Dragon, with a 3-gate lead over their adversaries of Overdrive.
This is what I was talking about. These guys are all close, evenly matched. These pilots and Eclipse way out in front. If they can just put together the purple section.
Just as you said that, Eclipse crashing into the lower hole in the wall, but still with a great advantage. It's a gain of 16 gates, and Eclipse will get first. Shybook Dragon getting by Henry Albert into second.
Look at this.
Henry Albert going to try and push and get past the purple to Shybook Dragon. Shybook Dragon lining up on the hole in the wall section, holding off Henry Albert, who's about the tunnel section back. Not too far. Shybook Dragon into the zigzag section. Henry Albert coming up close, about 4 feet back. Shybook Dragon making the final turn through the gate. Henry Albert follows as well. Shybook Dragon going to pull up second.
She does
and we've been running this format for a while over the last couple of weekends, but to the best of my knowledge, that is the first time we've seen a team come back down by 2. Tiny Turbines getting the match win, 7-4.
You said it's been possible, and it is possible. We've just never seen it until today. This was fantastic. Eclipse and Shybook Dragon. What was your strategy going into the 4s there?
Slow and steady wins the race.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Mostly, I stopped racing against Henry and I can't pronounce the other pilot's name. I raced against Shybook. Nobody else. That's what I did.
Interesting.
And it was a battle, Marty, for the last 20 seconds of that race. And poof, it came down to that line. I mean, a big win right there for the Tiny Turbines. Shybook Dragon getting second, which she needed to do in that situation. And she got second ahead of Henry Albert by 2.8 seconds. Doesn't sound like much, but that was a push to the finish. That is their first match win.
She could have gotten third, though, and still done it, right? Because Anza Factor was having trouble on the other side of the course. But
I got disconnected completely. I can't even join the session.
technical problems for Anza Factor.
And we will move to match number 3. Now we've shuffled up the matchup, so this is going to be a look back and a revisit with the Province Academy Lions Mach 6 and Evasive Maneuvers. They're up right now versus the Tiny Turbines and Shybook Dragon.
Going right away again. Wow, they're hot.
Tiny Turbines with 1 match win. They're 1 for 1 so far. And the Lions looking for their first match win.
A couple of tough losses out of the gate for those Providence Academy teams. Let's see if the other one can avenge what just happened with that big comeback for Tiny Turbines.
They're loading them up behind the scenes. First up, it'll be Evasive Maneuvers and Shybook Dragon. The countdown is on. We're about to go green. And there is the launch. We'll flip over to it here in a second. There you go. Watching the whole shot straight. Evasive Maneuvers, your leader on the left-hand side. Shybook Dragon running second on the right-hand side. So pick a pilot. Oh, little coding action behind the scenes. So we will fix that up. Normally I'm trying to do a little cross-referencing of what I'm seeing and matching up the colors, which is a little tough. So it's all good. We'll tell you, Evasive Maneuvers is leading just ahead of Shybook Dragon. You're going to see some chase cam in this duck, gray duck section Now evasive maneuvers. Not making too many mistakes. Shinebook Dragon having a couple of issues hitting some of those gates. So now it's a 5-gate deficit for Shinebook to try and catch up to evasive maneuvers here for the first match win. We're going to see all these pilots at least 5 times tonight, as it is a round robin. All pilots, all teams competing against each other.
Evasive into the tunnel. Shinebook Dragon still in the apple trees. Evasive getting the hang of this thing.
Evasive racing to that checkered line. One more turn to go after this one, and full send at the checkered. And that is a point on the board for the Lions. They are looking for their first match win, and right now the advantage of 1 over the Tiny Turbines, as we'll bring in next Eclipse and Mach 6. Eclipse from the Lions. Mach 6 from the Lions, Eclipse from the Tiny Turbines. Similar seeding as well. Mach 6 was 21st overall in qualifying to Eclipse's 23rd place finish. Remember, the opening match, Mach 6 won the big up heat. We're set to go.
All right.
Needed a good situation there. And did his half of the teamwork. We're ready to launch him. Heat number 2. Our third match of the round robin. Lions, Mach 6 up by 1 point. Eclipse ready to answer and make it tied into our big heat. Looked like Mach 6 had the whole shot. Eclipse jumped up into the lead. Then it was Mach 6 in the lead. Now Eclipse, then Mach 6 again. They keep trading places. Mach 6 on his lid in the chicane section. And Eclipse catching up. Both of them working their way up the ladder. Mach 6 hitting a rung on the ladder, going down to terra firma onto the basketball court. Mach 6 in the blue, still holding off Eclipse, now by 5 gates. Each pilot's crashing into a little something. When it comes to drone racing, first-person view, it's not if you're going to crash, it's when and just how long it's going to take you to recover your craft remotely and get back up in the skies. So far, Mach 6 has been pretty good about that. He's going to have to do it again as he goes on his lid. And now Eclipse, not making too many mistakes. Eclipse goes into the mid-court tunnel. This one looks to go to Mach 6. Mach 6 across the line. The lap time is 65 and change. And so going into our big heat, the Lions are up by 2. Same situation as what we saw in the last match. Tiny Turbines down by 2 points. They need the win plus a second or third. So first and second or first and third, just like they did the last time, to win the big heat. And of course, the Providence Academy Lions, they just need a first place finish or a second and a third. Let's see how it plays out. We're about set to go green. The big heat of match number 3, the Lions versus the Turbines. Tiny Turbines.
You know, the Lions were watching what happened to that last one with overdrive, so see if they can reverse that outcome.
Yeah, the Lions looking for their first match win. We were on board with the drones that just wanted to do what we call a punch out to the ceiling. Out front, Mach 6 to the blue. Mach 6 in blue and evasive maneuvers in green. Again, they just need a first or a second and a third combined. Right now, they're first and third. Eclipse and Shinebook Dragon both in purple. Looking for a first and second or a first and third. Right now, they are second and third. But this one is going to be shut down. When you have a gain of 2, only 1 pilot needs to win for your team. And there is the first match win on the board for the Province Academy Lions. Courtesy of Mach 6 getting the win in the end. The rest of the field here going to finish up here for the final points tally. Eclipse with about a 5-gate lead over Evasive Maneuvers to cross over in the number 2 spot to put 3 points on the board for Tiny Turbines. And it will be Evasive Maneuvers and then Shybook Dragon as this one rounds out. So looking at that point tally, it's going to be 8-3 for the Lions. And of course, they get their first big match win.
One of these teams, again, will be racing tonight on Fox Sports North. There is one available team spot to go against the other 7 teams that have already qualified. So we're watching this round robin to see who is going to be joining them in that 8 spot.
Right, you are, and it's going to come down to the match wins and the winning points as well. Now, so far we've seen Tiny Turbines twice and the Lions twice, and each of them have a win. And the Lions right now leading on points with 12 points in the number 1 spot, but we still have 3 more teams to answer the way it is all seated up. So the points they're not even. Not everyone has run the same amount of matches. We get ready to go to match number 4. First time that we've seen the Washburn Millers, our highest seed here in this group here this afternoon. Big Mac in physics from the Washburn Millers. We matched up once again versus Cat Eye and Checkmate of the Red Knights of Knee.
We've got the...
And they're right now sitting pretty. They have 1 win so far, 7 points to their credit. And Washburn Millers, this is their first match. And good seeding on your teams, 1st and 3rd overall. And we'll match up our 2nd seed pilots from each team right behind us. You can see them. It's Physics and Checkmate. Physics from the Millers, Checkmate from the Red Knights of Knee. Let's go green.
This is Minneapolis Washburn. First appearance so far in the state tournament from this Minneapolis team, going against the private school from nearby St. Louis Park, Benilde St. Margaret's.
Physics on the left-hand side of the screen, Checkmate on the right. You're watching Physics going pretty wide there in the Stitch It Up section. Checkmate had a tighter line, but Physics going so wide went through the top of the Stitch It Up section with a lot more momentum, and both pilots hitting the ground and recovering a little bit, and they're separated here by a couple rungs of the ladder. Physics now over to Duck Duck Gray Duck as Checkmate 7 gates back. He goes into Duck Duck Gray Duck. It's all Physics with a lead of 6 gates into the apple trees. We've already done the chicaning. Now we go through the hoops and into the mid-court tunnel, and Physics biting the bottom of the mid-court tunnel. But the lead is strong enough, it looks like, that he'll be able to hold off Checkmate. Checkmate going through the holes in the wall as Physics is 2 gates away from the finish line. And there is the first point on the board for the Washburn Millers in their first appearance here in the round robin, courtesy of Physics, getting that one done in 66.2 seconds.
Strong
Nice
start.
job.
Yeah, strong start for Physics and the Washburn Millers team. First time we're seeing them. They are the top qualifier of this group. Let's see if these Red Knights of Knee can even it before they go into the big 4-up finale.
Big Mac, your high seed from Washburn Millers, he's ready to go. Cat Eye, the high seed from the Red Knights of Knee, he's ready to go. Right now, the Millers are up by 1. We're about to go green. The B, sudden death. Points. These points are tough to follow right here. I mean, the point system is so simple, but anyone can win a heat match. Anyone can win a big heat. Anything can happen. We expect the unexpected. And right now, Big Mac, your leader, into that chicane section with Cat Eye just 2 pulls back. Coming out of the chicane, we're climbing up the ladder with Big Mac. Cat Eye now just 1 rung of the ladder back. Big Mac over to the red ladder descent. Cat Eye coming out of the descent as well. They're separated by 4 gates into Duck Duck Gray Duck. Big Mac going through it flawlessly. Cat Eye recovering craft remotely again, a la turtle mode, and trying to get back on their way in this race. Big Mac trying to get 2 points going into that big heat, and right now, a gate and a half difference. Over to the hole in the wall with Big Mac. Cat Eye into the hole in the wall as well. Cat Eye starting to reel in Big Mac here. This one isn't over yet. It's a race to the line. There goes Big Mac across it. There goes Cat Eye across it. Seconds apart. Not the worst, but Big Mac getting the second point for the Washburn Millers. They're up 2-0 into our big heat.
That was a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be. Cat Eye did reel in Big Mac there. If he had a little more race course, he might have caught him. So Washburn's up 2-0. Can the Red Knights of Me pull off what the Tiny Turbines did? The unexpected comeback from down 0-2. It's possible. And they are ready to go.
Let's get ready to launch them. So put them in a tied situation if they're able to do it. And for that elusive match win. Our track cam is punching out into the ceiling again. Looking for the red of Cat Eye. Red Knights a knee. Was up in the lead. Now back into third and into second. Mac and Physics in the gold. They're up by 2. They only need one of the pilots to win or finish second and third respectively as a team. That'll give their match win. Tonight it'll be in a double elimination bracket if they're lucky enough to make it as our top team here in this round robin. Look like Physics crashing out. Big Mac across the line. There is the first point on the board. First match win coming in for the Washburn Millers. Everyone else finishing up for those finish points. Second in the big heat going to Cat Eye. Third to Checkmate. Fourth to Washburn Millers. And so that's their first heat of the round robin, or the first match of the round robin. The win going to the Washburn Millers over the Red Knights a knee. 6-5.
Second, third, and fourth were all right on top of each other that time, but it was the big win for Big Mac that sealed the deal. Washburn Millers starting with a win.
We're ready to go into our next matchup already. We are at match number 5. We're at the midway point. Tiny Turbines versus the Washburn Millers. We just saw the Washburn Millers get their win. Let's get set to go green. Second seed from each team. Shybook Dragon from the Tiny Turbines. Physics from the Washburn Millers.
We're going to speed things up a little bit here, Joe. So in these 1v1s, when the winner wins, we're going to end it and move on. We've got to make up some time. Physics out in front. Start with.
Now, if Washburn Millers win this matchup, they're going to take the lead as 2 match wins, 2-0, undefeated. And Tiny Turbines, if they win this one, they could take the lead. They'd be 2-1, even though they've had one more match so far in the round robin. A lot on the line here at the midway point of the round robin. But Physics, a 20-gate lead, trying to get that first point. And really, when you looked at how the teams were staged in the start there, Washburn Millers, highest seed of our teams, Big Mac and Physics, 15th and 17th in the individual competition to be the highest seed here in this A class in the team race. Physics crashing right before the start finish gate, so that A becomes a B+, but there is your first point on the board for the Washburn Millers. Next up, Big Mac and Eclipse.
Number one's Big Mac and Eclipse. We'll see if they can keep it close along this course. Again, we have the custom Youth Drone Sports Championships basketball court, nice and shiny, as you pointed out yesterday during the individuals. The individuals did not knock the shine off the court.
All right.
Pick things up here.
We're launching them, buddy. I like it. I love this head-to-head. Eclipse on the left-hand side, Big Mac on the right. Eclipse trying to get the point to tie it up, going into the big heat for the Tiny Turbines. Big Mac on the right, trying to seal the deal. Right now, both of them in that chicane section, separated by just one of the flags. Now it's the ladder up. Big Mac hitting a rung, having to do a 360 revolution or a yaw spin to correct himself. Still enough with a little more momentum between the ladders, trying to gap Eclipse, but Eclipse is not too far behind. Both of them in the duck, gray duck section. Big Mac with about a 15-foot lead here on this basketball court. And as they, wow, it looked like Eclipse got a little loosey-goosey and lost right there in the tree section. Big Mac working his way around to the hole in the wall section, and he crashes into one of the gaps. We'll see if that's enough for Eclipse to catch up. Not too sure. Now we're out with Big Mac heading to that checkered line, and Big Mac with this heat win, finishing that up in a time of 60.9 over Eclipse in that one. So Washburn Millers up by 2 points going into our big heat and trying to get the lead of our tournament. And we're ready to launch our big heat right now. Washburn Millers need a first or a second and a third.
Washburn's
needing a 1 and a 2 or a 1 and a 3.
Minneapolis Washburn has had a first in every heat they've been a part of so far. They waited patiently to get started, and all they've been doing is winning. Let's see if they can close this one out, or will the Tiny Turbines be spoilers again?
You're on board with Eclipse right now in the number 3 spot, trying to chase down the rest of the field in front of them. But right now, it's all gold out front. Washburn Millers, they have about a 7-gate lead. And just 4 more gates to go, 3 gates to go, 2 gates to go. We just need 1 to finish number 1 for the Washburn Millers, and they will win the big heat. Get the rest of those finish points up here. Looks like Eclipse going to try and get a few more points, getting ahead of Physics here on the tail end. We're on board with Eclipse there for a fair chunk of that heat, and Eclipse pushing at full send of the checkered line, finishing just in front of Physics next to finish up. And so Washburn Millers getting their second match win. They will take the lead on overall points here in the round robin. Washburn Millers 8-3 over the Tiny Turbines.
We got a fun one coming up, Joe. It's all Providence Academy. The Lions, the elder team, known as the Lions, going against the younger team, call themselves Overdrive. Let's see what the Battle of Providence Academy shows us about these pilots. So we're gonna have to make sure they got some color changes. I think
we're doing all FPV feeds. I think we're all on board, so we don't need to worry about color changes. We can just launch them.
That's right.
I said I think, but I'm glad that you confirmed it. Thank you. So
Well-
we'll fix it up in post after the fact. So I know, Marty, I know for a fact that we're all FPV feeds, so colors don't matter for the most part.
And you are the best in the world at figuring out what's happening in the FPV feeds. I'm still learning. If you're watching at home, listen to Joe Scully. He knows how to figure out what is happening by watching side-by-side FPV feeds.
I try my best.
Sit and learn.
I'm here all week. Henry Albert had the early lead. Now it's Evasive Maneuvers up in front. Like Marty said, they're all Lions from Providence Academy. It's Overdrive versus Lions. Henry Albert versus Evasive Maneuvers. They traded places a few times, but Evasive Maneuvers from the Lions A with a 2-gate lead. Henry Albert on his lid there a few moments ago in the blue ladder up. It's all evasive maneuvers through the red ladder down. Still with about a 2-gate lead. Now Henry Albert cleaning things up a little bit. Got to get out of that ladder. Oh no, Henry Albert trying to line up on Duck Duck Grey Duck, and Henry Albert on his lid. That just opened up things hugely for evasive maneuvers. He's maneuvered his way up to an 11-gate lead over his kind of teammate. I guess it's kind of like doing a scrimmage, right? Shirts and skins. You're on the same team, but you're competing against each other here again. We're inside the
maybe shirts and skins.
You never know when that Hydra cam pops on, right? Let's can just see how that would go over. Not so well.
Evasive maneuvers. Closes it out.
Right now, the Lions have a win and a loss. In overdrive. Overdrive is B. This is their second matchup, and so they're looking for their first win. They would be tied with their teammates here in the round robin. That's how it would work, and the first win going to go to the Lions. 1 point, courtesy of evasive maneuvers, getting the win over the Skins by 13.3 seconds. Ready to launch. It's Anza Factor versus Mach 6. Anza Factor from Overdrive, Mach 6 from Lions. Anza Factor going to try and tie it up into our big heat. Then it's Supercharged. Shirts and skins. Mach 6 on the left-hand side of your screen is leading the Stitch It Up section, but Anza Factor is right behind. You can see a splash of blue every time he gets close to Mach 6. There was almost a pass right there by the looks of things. And now we're in the ladder section. Mach 6 going to the red ladder down on the descent, as Anza Factor still working on the ladder up. Mach 6 into the apple orchard, 360-degree revolution around the first trunk, chicaning through the last three. Now those elevated green hoops. Mach 6 has that section dialed in as Anza Factor back on the course, still trying to work on Duck Duck Grey Duck, spending one more time to line it up, and hopefully going to bring the punch into our big heat, because we're about to stage that. Mach 6 across the line, and the Lions of Providence Academy up 2 points into our big heat.
It means we're putting all 4 Providence Academy pilots up at the same time, and the Overdrive team needs to stage a comeback if they're gonna get the win here. There they go.
Big heat about to go. Oof.
Almost like we're watching a practice at Providence Academy. Anza Factor taking a seat.
It's a grinder. Mach 6, just like we saw earlier, though, jumping way ahead of the pack. And just like we saw in the previous matchup, I believe, Mach 6, yeah, all it's going to take is a win here in this big heat.
We saw this yesterday. Mach 6 was getting the hang of things early and just kept climbing and climbing, getting faster and faster throughout the individual bracket experience.
Look at this zigzag. Making the turns before the gates. Look at that. Boom. That was a smoking hot lap time. 54-1 for Mach 6. And that is going to give the win to the Providence Academy Lions. The rest of the finish points do matter here for tiebreaker at the end of the tournament, as all of our teams matching everybody. And there could be the chance of a tie. So I'm going to total up all of those points. On board with Henry Albert in the number 3 spot, trying to find evasive maneuvers just in front. There was a glimpse of evasive maneuvers, but unfortunately, we're going to make contact. Evasive maneuvers pulling up the number 2 spot, and so that is going to give a ton of points to the Providence Academy Lions. First and second, that's 7 plus their 2 from the individual win. So the Lions over the Overdrive, 9-2, match number 6 in the books.
Next up, Overdrive stays on the floor. And here come the Millers. Washburn Millers have not been beat yet this afternoon. And Overdrive. Find their groove.
Physics and Henry Albert 48. Physics with the early lead. Henry Albert 48 going to try his best to catch up here. Washburn Millers currently leading. They've had 2 matches and they've won both. Meanwhile, Overdrive are 1-1 so far in the round robin tournament. For a big W here. This one is all physics. Claypo saying, go Henry. Henry can use a little go-go juice right now.
Mr. Gruhl from Washburn anticipating a three-peat. These are his students, and there it is, physics. Grabbing the win.
Physics first point on the board. Washburn Millers up by 1, looking to sweep this. Could be their 3rd win of 5. They're in a pretty good spot. Anza Factor now in that pressure position. Matched up versus Big Mac. Anza Factor with the hole shot out a little early. And going to lead the charge here ahead of Big Mac. Big Mac making the pass before the chicane section. Big Mac flying into one of the poles of the chicane. But Anza Factor, as Big Mac had issues in the chicane, Anza Factor having issues back in the stitch it up section. And they're separated by 5 gates as Big Mac works his way out of the red descent ladder down into Duck, Duck, Gray Duck, and over to the apple trees. Anza Factor now going into that elusive Duck Duck Goose section and making contact with Terra Firma, that basketball court. And this one is looking to be all Big Mac as long as he can get through these 2 holes in the wall as he does. 4 gates to victory. And as we set up the big heat, the Washburn Millers here up by 2 into the big heat with their 2 individual match wins. Grid up all 4 pilots. Big Mac and Physics from the Washburn Millers looking to sweep it here. And Anza Factor and Henry Albert 48 from the Lions to try and upset the apple cart. The Millers have put together. Anza Factor once again, full send at the front, getting the hole shot, nearly lead. But the Millers are back up 1-2. Situation when you're up by 2, you need a win or a 2nd and a 3rd place finish. Currently, they're sitting 1st and 2nd. For the Overdrive team, they need a 1st and a 2nd or a 1st and a 3rd.
If you're last, you lost. So, got to stay out of that last spot.
Their situation for sure, but they're about 10 gates back from Physics in 2nd. That is pretty much for their transfer position to stay alive. Big Mac going to try and be in the low 50s on this run right here. Yet to make a mistake. He's in the gold well out in front. His teammate going, you see behind, going into the hole in the wall section. They're 5 gates apart, but they're 1-2 with a 10-gate lead over their adversaries. And that is going to be a sweep in this one. 1st and 2nd in the big heat going to the Washburn Millers. And that gives them 3 match wins. They sit number 1. And another match where they are up and on the top of our podium 9-2 over Overdrive.
Okay. We're on to 8 after that.
Washburn Millers just killing it right now. 23 points.
Mr. Gruhl was right. 3 in a row.
3-0. But don't count out PA. The Lions, they're coming up at the end versus Washburn Millers. They're only 1 match win behind this situation. We go next to the Red Knights and Knee versus the Tiny Turbines. It's a whole new match. It's Shybook Dragon for the Turbines, Checkmate for the Red Knights of Knee, and they're already underway. When I say they, I'm talking about Shybook Dragon. Checkmate did not take off. Uh-oh.
Hearing something from Checkmate. Clearly not flying.
Flying Shybook Dragon. Checkmate, is your radio dead, no battery, or is it not connected? The situation is there.
We heard something, but now he's gone silent, trying to figure out the problem. Meanwhile, Shybook Dragon zooming around the course. Got the hang of it now. Oh, taking a little rest and back up to the Duck Duck Grey Duck section. Joe Scully is announcing from Ontario, Canada. I think as Minnesotans we know that everybody else calls it something else, but I did inform him that it's Duck Duck Grey Duck here in Minnesota. And Checkmate is off the ground and giving chase.
I think in all fairness, I mean, we'll let the thing finish up, but I think, I mean, I don't want to, you know what I'm going to say, right?
No.
No?
I'm waiting.
All right, you and I will discuss it. I don't know. Do we have an official race director that would make the big calls in this situation?
On course naming?
Shybook
right. Dragon.
All right, so here's the situation. We launched and Checkmate didn't have radio link, and so Shybook Dragon got that heat win. But if this was a in real life drone race, two things would have happened. First, there would be no rerun because it's pilot gear, but because we're in a virtual environment, we have no idea whether or not when the radio problem, the connection problem happened. At a normal race, we go thumbs up for good video, then we launch. And so we didn't really get an official confirmation from Checkmate. And when you have radio problems, you're on mute. So there's no way, I believe, for Checkmate to communicate to us. So technically, because Checkmate wasn't able to take off and we weren't able to confirm that Checkmate was ready, I think the right call would be to rerun that one. Marty, do you agree?
Yeah, the stakes are high. The winning team is going to be on TV tonight, so let's rerun them. Let's do it right.
I know those calls kind of sting when you get the heat win by default, but I always like to say we want to see the right person win for all the right reasons. The pilots are ready to fly again, for real this time. Shybook Dragon versus Checkmate. A rerun of Heat 1 here in match number 8. More matches to go after this one. A little bit more racing as we prepare for our live broadcast tonight on Fox Sports North. Super stoked to bring our team format similar to what we have here, other than a round robin. It's a double elimination bracket. Our 8 teams. This time around, Checkmate just ahead of Shybook Dragon. Shybook Dragon on the right-hand side of your screen. Checkmate in the green. So pick your favorite pilot, and you're going to look for the opposing color, the opposing drone just in front. So we look on the right-hand side of your screen with Shybook Dragon. You saw a glimpse of Checkmate in front. They're only separated by about 2 or 3 gates. Now Shybook Dragon down to the ground. That is going to hurt a little bit. Now we got, we'll have a little content there as they stage the next heat. I saw a little pop-up there. We'll get to the comments. We appreciate those weighing in the chat at home. It's always encouraged and appreciated. Checkmate about to move that pawn to R7 in line with the king and the queen. Checkmate goes Checkmate here in the rerun heat, and the Red Knights a knee up by 1. As we get set for our second seeds, it'll be Cat Eye from the Red Knights a knee versus Anza Factor from Overdrive. Marty, in the chat, I saw a comment that said Anza Factor should have got a rerun then if the precedent was set. Now, Anza Factor also lost radio link or something in the middle of a heat. So remember that whole setup. I said if it was a real drone race, we would have confirmed. We'd had thumbs up for video with mute and connections. We had no idea that Checkmate wasn't ready, whereas Anza Factor launched. So a virtual race or a sim race, once you launch, all bets are off, right? It's just like in my favorite sport of rodeo. Once you nod your head, it's pretty much game on, like Donkey Kong. And so that would be the best of my ability. The only time that we would rerun in a situation like that is if it was a connection problem that is out of everybody's control. Now, that doesn't mean you lose power and connection at your house that you get a rerun by any means, but sometimes in the sim there's stream lag, and there's no lag in this race right here. Blade to blade battle, we've been waiting for it. Cat Eye just ahead of Eclipse as we go from one ladder up to one ladder down, both of them on the same rung. Cat Eye just in front of Eclipse. Watch on the right hand side, the chase cam from Eclipse, and now you're seeing some bounce and roll. Cat Eye on the left hand side, gap in Eclipse. Eclipse trying to clean things up here, fighting it into some of those elevated hoops in our tree section. So Cat Eye with a pretty commanding lead over to the hole in the wall section, making contact with the top of one of the first gaps, but not crashing, not losing any time by any means. And as Cat Eye goes across the line, the Red Knights and Knee will be up by 2 going into our big heat.
Nice heat by Cat Eye. Cat Eye and Checkmate are brothers, racing from the same house. Luckily, they have multiple computers at that house, so these brothers from Benilde St. Margaret's can race at the same time. And there's a third Nolan brother. You're racing for sure on TV tonight in the team competition, representing Benilde. Nice to see Benilde was not represented during the Fox Sports North broadcast last night in individuals, but they will be tonight, along with a team that emerges from this competition right here. Cat Eye with the early lead. And trading places with his brother, Checkmate. Just need a win or a second and third, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, Joe.
Yeah. I'm doing some math and science behind the scenes here, don't you?
I'll let you focus.
No, you're good.
I can talk. I just know that you're better at it than me, but I can carry it through here. You do the math.
Yeah, but you've been doing it longer than me, though, right?
Am
I? Yeah. Aren't you older than me?
I am, but...
There you go. You've been talking longer than me. I was very silent as a kid, so it's a guarantee.
You've made up for it. All right, Cat Eye and Checkmate finish 1-2. And they are closing this one out against the Tiny Turbines. But the Tiny Turbines, no matter what happens, have given us the rare example of the comeback all the way down from 0-2. I'll never forget that coming out of this state tournament Team 2 bracket. Or not a bracket, it's a round robin, isn't it? So the Red Knights of Knee closed that one out over the Tiny Turbines. And next up, as we move through, getting close to the end of our round robin.
Yeah, we're at match number 9, 2 matches ago. Overdrive versus the Red Knight of Knee. We're about to launch them here.
Checkmate is the youngest competitor in the competition, just a 6th grader. He's the only one in the air right now. There goes Henry Albert. Henry Albert, I believe, is an 8th grader, maybe a 7th grader. I should get that straight.
Checkmate's a 5th grader.
Checkmate's a 5th grader. I'm sorry. I was overestimating. Just a 5th grader racing in the state tournament. See that occasionally. It means that you have a young phenom above their weight, and Checkmate currently has the lead. That's Henry Albert, very cool customer. If you've seen him race in real life, you know the focus that Henry Albert 48 exhibits while racing drones, but he's going to have to rev it up a little bit here because Checkmate's all the way across half court, moving through the tunnel, to the hole in the wall section, and into that purple back and forth. Henry Albert.
Oof. Checkmate crashing in that section. He's waiting for you to tell him which gate to go to next, but
yes, so.
he will cross the line. First point on the board for the Red Knights of Knee. I was looking behind the scenes at our tally. and trying to see how this plays out. If the Red Knights of Knee win this match, they will be tied with the Washburn Millers with 3 wins. You're looking at the point scores. They're also going to be just a few points apart, which means if Providence Academy Lions in our final match beat the Washburn Millers, technically the Red Knights of Knee would be our winners with the most match wins. But then you also have Providence Academy Lions A, or the Lions. They are in a similar point situation as well. So even though 2 matches to go here in this round robin, it's going to come down to the last big heat of the afternoon to see which team is going to move on. Hands of Factor just ahead of Cat Eye. Hands of Factor are going to try and see some of those tears from a Cat Eye here. Taking that win away could be a huge upset. It should be great teamwork because that would set up the Lions A for a big opportunity to win. So Lions B looking for their first win on the board. So if they win this match, their teammates have an excellent chance to move into our finals here tonight. But Cat Eye has reclaimed the lead. 11 gates to the good over to the midcourt tunnel. You're on board with your leader, Cat Eye, as he goes over to the hole in the wall section. Gap at the top, gap at the bottom. Now we're into the 4-gate purple zigzag section. And here is the backstretch to the checkered line. And there is another point on the board for the Benilde St. Margaret's Knights, Red Knights of Knee, courtesy of Cat Eye. And the big heat is next.
Providence Overdrive, though, to your point, Joe, still has a chance to help out their teammates. As we saw earlier this afternoon, you can come back from 0-2, and that would be an interesting turn of events if they could give the assist to the Elder Lions of Providence Academy. Let's see what happens here.
Love it. Love the big heat. So for the upset, we need Anza Factor and Henry Albert to be first and second, or first and third. And to sit wishing, waiting, and hoping. Cat Eye and Checkmate only need a win or second and third. We'll see how it plays out. Right now, they're sitting first and second, but nothing decided as of yet. A couple of mistakes here by Checkmate and Cat Eye, but they hold the lead. It was about a 14-gate lead, now down to a 11 or 12-gate lead. As soon as one of them cross over the line in the number 1 spot, that'd be decided, but we're still writing in pencil, not in pen. Anything can happen. There is no do-over. Here we go to the line. Cat Eye to the left, to the right, to the checkered. And Cat Eye going to get the win. That is going to give them the match win. Checkmate pulling up in the number 2 spot, so that'll give them the 9 points that it's going to take. And that'll leave it to Henry Albert and Enza Factor to finish up. So the Red Knights of Knee over Overdrive, a score of 9-2.
Well, they had a chance to help out, but it looks like it's Red Knights of Knee putting some pressure on the Washburn Millers. Next up,
top 2 seeds from qualifying. Your next ones to work. I'm going to hit a couple refresh tabs here. And there is a look at the points right now. Your final two teams are ready to fly. Lions versus the Millers.
It all comes down to this. Red Knights of Knee have the first position right now.
Providence A has 2 wins. Providence A has 2 wins, 1 loss. If they win this one, they would be tied with Washburn Millers with 3 match wins apiece, and it'll come down to the finish points. On finish points, as we saw on the leaderboard, they're only separated by 2, and as we've seen, the spread could be by 7 points. So even though Washburn Millers 3-0 so far, and with a bunch of points to their credits, it comes down to these final 2 teams. And leading right now, Physics from the Washburn Millers with a 15-gate lead on the right-hand side of your screen, already working through the Apple Orchard section, doing that chicane. Had to go back a little bit. Evasive maneuvers is way back in Duck, Duck, Gray Duck. I know it's confusing sometimes to see them side by side. Your leader, when it goes black, you know things did not go right as he gets back into the air. The lead tightening up just a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think we're going to see our first point win here with Physics pushing through those purple zigzags to the big diamond. And there's the first point on the board here in our final matchup for the Washburn Millers.
Of the 3 teams that are in contention here, Washburn is not currently in the field for the team race tonight, nor is Providence Academy. Benilde does have a team, so Washburn and Providence vying for a chance to represent on Fox Sports North tonight as we go to the top pilots from each of these teams. This will be a good one. Big Mac and Mach 6.
Yeah, they were relatively seated together. Big Mac 15th overall from the Millers and Mach 6 21st overall, just 6 pegs back for the Lions. Big Mac or Mach 6 trying to the win here, so it's tied going into that big heat. Mach 6 leading Big Mac by 2 gates. Into the blue ladder up, the ascent, but Big Mac right behind, 1 rung back. Mach 6 now 2 gates up. Looked like Big Mac missed the top rung of the ascent. Now going to try and make up some room here on the descent. Mach 6 into the apple orchard section, those green tree trunks and hoops. Big Mac only 8 feet back. Mach 6 looking to tie it up here before the big heat, and looked like Big Mac had to go back in the apple orchard. Mach 6 through the hole in the wall section, a 4-gate lead to the good. And now final zigzag to the checkered line, and we are all tied up.
Wow.
Going into our big heat, 1-1, Lions and Millers.
We saw Anza Factor over on the left side standings, real-time standings there. He was not racing in this one, but Mach 6 evens it up against Big Mac from Washburn as we go to the 4.
Now,
So
before we launch, I don't know if you remember the situation when it's tied going into the big heat. It's not a race for first, second, or third. It's a race not to be last. And as I do quick calculations, it's a race not to be last so that your team advances to the championship here tonight. By quick math and science, let's get set to go green, your big heat. Who is going to our finals tonight on Fox Sports North? Will it be the Lions? Will it be the Millers?
Wow. Can't get any simpler, higher stakes than that.
Points will separate them. Off we go to the races. Mach 6 from the Lions out front in the blue. Big Mac and Physics in yellow for the Millers. Keeping Mach 6, the leader, within their sights. Are only separated by 2-3 feet as they go on the ascent up the ladder. It's still Mach 6 now. Big Mac making a pass. Looked like Mach 6 had to go back. Now Mach 6 goes into the number 1 spot again, holding off Big Mac and Physics right behind him. A battle for the top 3 positions, and Evasive Maneuvers back in the number 4 spot. Gonna need to catch up. Remember the setup. Need to be top 3. Push your team to our finals tonight with the quick math and science. Mach 6 with a 1-gate lead over Physics. Mach 6 going into the zigzag section. Physics from the Washburn Millers right behind him, and Big Mac as well, pushing for second, third. And across the line we go. The win in the big heat going to Mach 6. Second going to go to Big Mac from the Millers. Third to Physics from the Millers. Fourth to Evasive Maneuvers from the Millers. So that means that the total
from the Lions, Evasive Maneuvers. You said Millers, but
oh yeah, Evasive Maneuvers from the Lions. So that gives the Millers a 1-point advantage here in the points, but that also makes them unstoppable. They won every single matchup. Official score in this final here for the Millers, 6-5 over the Lions.
Are we still verifying, or I mean, if they're undefeated, they did not drop a match, did they?
We are. Yeah, they went 4-0. The Washburn Millers 4-0. 29 points, second on points, but the wins come in first. And so 4-0, 29 points. The Washburn Millers moving into our program here tonight.
Congratulations, Minneapolis Washburn. I know we had Big Mac on camera earlier. If we can bring that up, if Big Mac has his ears on and can talk about that wire to wire, undefeated through the round robin.
It was I'm not gonna lie to you, there wasn't really a strategy, it was just go fast. I guess that counts as a strategy.
It is a strategy, yeah. I mean, you had some tough competition out there.
Yeah, for sure.
There were heats where you didn't win, but you won all the matches. What are your and physics thoughts heading into tonight? We go live on TV at 7:30 p.m. Central.
I can't wait. It's gonna be good.
I think we don't have your video any longer, unfortunately, but physics, you got a great teammate there. You're representing the city of Minneapolis. That's where I'm from. City Conference. What are you going to do against all those powerhouse schools tonight? You guys are kind of newcomers in the drone racing scene, but you got a chance.
Yeah.
Physics Live? Yeah.
Okay.
His mic's unmuted, but I don't know where he is.
Well,
Okay.
the kudos are coming in on the chat, and so we get excited. The Washburn Millers, they're going to join the Benilde St. Margaret's Knights, the Apple Valley Eagles, the St. Louis Park Orioles, the Hill Murray Pioneers, along with the Eden Prairie Eagles. Tonight, our top 8 teams coming up here on the Hydra FPV Twitch channel, the Facebook page as well, and of course on your set-top boxes if you have Dish Network or DirecTV, or you're in the greater Minnesota area. Tune us in tonight. Fox Sports North, we're back in 2 hours, 19 minutes from right now. More team racing, a top 8 double elimination bracket for the championship for the first ever Minnesota State High School Virtual Drone Racing Tournament. The championship team will be crowned tonight on Fox Sports North. Marty, I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. And you see your Class AA team champions right now. Washburn moving into the big AAA on TV. Guys, get your hair and makeup ready. You're going live on Fox Sports North tonight with myself and the greatest drone racing announcer on the planet, whose favorite sport is rodeo, we just found out, Mr. Joe Scully.
Yeah, buddy. We'll see you then. We're back 2 hours, 18 minutes from right now. We'll be drone racing again.
Congratulations, guys.